Commissioner, thank you for being with us. I know it's been a long day. I'm going to go through a few things. I'm a huge believer in affordable housing, but as well as conversion as it relates to many of the office buildings that we have in our inner cities, which I represent. But what I'm going to focus on is historical tax credits. So I don't think anybody else has done that yet. So I just want to get your mindset as I read through some of the examples that I have back in Ohio. In January of 2021, 9 of my colleagues in Congress, including Ohio Senator Brown and Portman, sent a letter to the former commissioner about the IRS denying historic preservation easement tax deductions because an Ohio building owner installed an ADA-compliant wheelchair ramp on a historic structure. This building owner, who is a taxpayer, had worked with the National Park Service to design the ramp in a way that would protect the historic character of the building. But the IRS said the law does not provide exemptions for local fire and safety laws for Americans with Disability Act when considering whether an easement compliance with this structure is statutory requirement. The IRS subsequently reversed course, and the IRS Office of Chief Counsel released a memorandum in March of 21 that clarified that the installation of an ADA accessibility ramp was permitted. So they did that. However, I was recently made aware that the IRS has again begun to deny easement deductions on historic buildings, this time over the hypothetical scenario that a building owner might sometime in the future install a wheelchair ramp. The IRS enforcement officer recently denied a historic preservation easement saying, and I quote, "In the event the use changed to a retirement home for the elderly, it would be likely required many modifications such as wheelchair ramps, additional elevators, removal of expansion of current street level doors and windows in order to comply with the codes of a retirement community. A change in use would likely require changes on all sides of the building and would be inconsistent with the use of the building." Now, we all believe in historic preservation. I don't think there's any one of us. So my question is, do you agree with the IRS Office of Chief Counsel memo stating that the ADA accessibility ramp should be permitted?
I haven't read that, but yes, if there's an IRS counsel legitimate opinion out there, then I would support it.
So should taxpayers, historic building owners, something that's very important in the state of Ohio but across the country, and historic preservation community be forced to choose between complying with the ADA or using congressionally authorized preservation programs like the historic preservation easement?
As you've presented it, Congressman, it seems like there's it's very incongruent and not clear what the IRS is asking of in relation to the Americans with Disability Act enhancements. Without commenting on any specific taxpayer, I want to get back to you with some clarity on the overarching policy.
And this is an issue that I feel very strongly about, because as we've seen in many of our cities, the ability to go in and take over some of these structures, many of them were eyesores for many, many years. So I would appreciate if your team would get back to me, because it is something that I feel very strongly about, and I appreciate your time, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.